Most people I talk to don't have a clue what downsizing costs. We're going to talk about that today. There's often a gap between what downsizers think they're walking away with and what the real numbers really report. Today, I'm going to walk you through the real hard costs and things to consider when you're downsizing, because truly there are expenses when you are selling or buying and downsizing in Toronto's market. Let's go through them now. The first thing that most people don't think about is the cost of decluttering. I know, what a concept. We're going to actually have to pay to get rid of some of our stuff. Well, on our team, we help you with that. They're very minimal costs. It's literally your time in trying to decide what needs to be donated, what should go to charity, or what should actually eventually make its way to the dump. But most people skip this step entirely and think, my home is ready for the market. Well, guess what? This market is unforgiving, and the expectation is that your home is going to show its very best if it is going to pull eyeballs to the table and draw showings. Without showings, we don't have offers. Number two, the cost of home preparation, making sure that your home is inviting to the eyeballs. Like I said before, without showings, we can't expect offers. So the cost of potentially painting your home or doing some small repair work to make sure the house is in good shape if you are selling your home. For anything else but as is condition, you want to make sure that the home looks good and its very best. So there might be an electrical repair you haven't budgeted for, or maybe the dishwasher stopped working, so we might want to think about the replacement. So there's hard costs there for repairs, and then there are costs for staging. I know this is a scary thought for some people who may not understand or want to entertain the idea of staging their home, the idea of furniture that comes in to occupy your home when you think your home looks its very best already may be sort of cringeworthy. But the reality is most of the homes that you see today that sell for top dollar and sell quickly are actually the product of great staging. Now, some homes are very lucky. Some owners have amazing taste. Their property is very neutrally decorated and they don't need home staging. But for other people, this is an investment worth making because it can have profound returns, can bring you X number of dollars over asking. When you see signs on lawns that say sold over asking, sold in 3 days, it's often the product of a beautifully staged home and a well-priced home that was executed well by an agent. So I'm going to say you should consider and have a budget for staging. Staging can vary from anywhere from $2,500 all the way well beyond $20,000 and more for some homes. So I'm talking about an average condominium, 1-bedroom property versus a 4 or 5 or 10-bedroom home. So the variation is so grand. But I'm going to say most homeowners should budget for approximately $4,500 to $5,000 for a budget for staging a home. The bonuses on our team, staging as a standard is included in our services. So our homeowners don't have to pay, not for an extension for staging, not for the initial installation for staging, and not for continued staging services while their home is for sale. And that for some people is a huge value add because they don't want to fork over money every month for renewals while their home sits on the market, or they just don't have the means to be able to invest in their home. The great thing is, if we're a good fit, then I'm going to invest in your home to make sure it's sold for top dollar. Warning, there is such a thing as good staging, and then there's such a thing as bad staging. And I'm going to tell you, most people don't want to share that with you, but a really quick search online for some staging companies, you'll be able to see the quality and caliber of some of the work. Bad staging, as I refer to, is staging that is not appropriate for the style of home, meaning ultra-modern furniture, really contemporary stuff in an older home that just doesn't look right. So for older homes, it's not like we bring in old furniture for older homes, but it's got to be more traditional or more transitional so it suits the home. These are not things you need to worry about. You just need to know that you've got the right person with the right services and team behind them. The next cost most people overlook are the costs of moving or storage. So if you're getting your home ready for the purpose of the sale, or you are transitioning from your current home to another home, there may actually be some crossover or not a perfect connection on the closing date. So you may have to pay professional movers potentially to store your items for a period of time until your new home is ready, or perhaps you are doing the move in 2 stages. It's possible that you may have stored some of your belongings in a storage facility while your home was being prepared for staging. So I'm going to say on average, most people should set anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 aside for moving. And I'm going to say that may be a little generous for some people. Some people might think you can get away with moving for about $1,500, but let me ask you this. Do you want help packing up some of your china? Would it be helpful to you to have somebody to come into your home and help you pack up some of the stuff? Can you depend on your kids to help you with that? So I'm going to say budget more. It will only bring you comfort throughout the process of downsizing, I promise you, because the more hands, the more professional they are to help you better prepare for the move will mean your move-in day goes much, much smoother. Now let's get to the biggest hard costs. These are the big ones at the end that often are scary for people or they don't actually have a good grip on. And I'm going to say that is real estate fees and legal fees. That would bring you to the net. What am I left with at the end? A really great realtor will probably have a net sheet where they can plug some numbers in and give you a rough idea of what you're going to net. Now, if you're interviewing realtors and you say to somebody, like, what am I going to net? And they can't actually tell you, that's not a good thing. So here are the hard costs. There are commissions to realtors, and those commissions can vary depending on the services that that professional is going to offer. A note for you, in Ontario, your commissions are subject to HST, so there is tax on the commission. So if the commission was 5%, we can add HST at 13%, and that could potentially be the total. Some agents might charge 6%, some agents might charge 4%. It really depends on what they are offering you to help you with the sale of your home. Now, quite often, in that commission that you were paying your seller realtor, there is also a commission that is being offered to the buyer's agent. So sometimes when I meet a client, they'll say, so this is what I'm going to pay you, we've agreed on that, but what are we paying the other agent? And almost 99% of the time, that is going to be half of what the commission is for the sale of the property. Now, in some situations that can differ, not going to get into that in the video, but what I'm going to say to you is it really depends what is being done to prepare the home, and it also depends on the seller's comfort on what they wish to pay a cooperating agent. That is totally up to your discretion, and you should not feel pressured to make decisions there, but I am going to say you probably want to look around at what's being offered to other agents in the neighborhood for the homes that are being selling around you, because if there is an amount that is being offered, then you want to be able to be competitive and either offer the same or a little bit more to attract agents and buyers to your table. But again, for every home in every neighborhood, that is a different conversation. And remember, the real estate fees, like I said, they're not paid upfront. You're not expected to have any sort of cash outlay. So if your realtor's asking for money upfront, that feels a little uncomfortable because they're supposed to offer all of their services as part of their packages. So you don't have to pay for photography or videography, and in our case, staging. So that's all wrapped up with a bow, and the deductions will be made at the end of the transaction and will come out of the equity of your home once the mortgage or any other debts against the home are actually paid off. Now, let's transition. There are legal fees. So you will be paying a lawyer to actually take care and discharge the mortgage of the property, and the lawyer is going to handle all of the closing costs and tasks that are associated with closing out your home so that the buyer can actually take over and put their name on title and have the transaction nice and clean and done, and the keys can be exchanged. Now, legal fees are also subject to HST. On average, I'm going to say you want to, for the sale of your home, probably budget for $1,000 all the way up to $3,000 or $5,000, and I'm going to say with a really big asterisk there, depending on how many mortgages you have. You might be watching this and going, well, I don't have a mortgage. That is a win for you. But sometimes other seniors are not in the same situation, and they'll be maybe at 1 mortgage or 2 or 3, and I have even seen 4. But it really depends what's on title and what needs to be discharged in order for the buyer to be able to take possession and title of your home. All right, some of you are feeling overwhelmed if you're not numbers people, but I'm going to tell you, most downsizers, by the time they get to the net sheet, or they figure out their difference between what the house is worth and what they owe, they are actually very pleasantly surprised. And that good capital that you're going to walk away with, or equity, could actually fund so many wonderful things. I had a client who recently wanted to buy her dream car, and she did just that. I had another couple that actually moved out west, and they are living the dream. So whatever it is, that equity that you have earned is yours, and it can be powerful and useful in your next adventure, whatever that may look like. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. What you can do is you can give us a call, 416-486-8282, or visit othengroup.com and actually book a consultation to meet with us to go through these numbers, and we can do a rough calculation where we can do an exact one if you've got a list of all of the debts that you owe, and we can give you a very solid understanding of what your numbers are going